about the mind. The mind is responsible for everything. Good and bad, both. Today, number 3. Page 6. Stanzas number 3. Number 3 and 4 together. Try to pick up little bit of Pali words also when you recite this. Then follow me. Akkochimang avadimang ajinimang ahasime yetang upanayanti verang tesang nasammati. Again, akkochimang avadimang ajinimang ahasime yetang upanayanti verang tesang nasammati. The meaning, he abused me, he beat me, he defeated me, he robbed me. In those who harbor such thought, hatred is not appeased. Now this one is very simple. Akkochi means abuse. Mang means me. Avadi, he beat me. Ajini, defeated. Jina means win. Ajini means defeat. Yetang upanayanti. So in this way, by harboring or by creating hatred or anger or ill will in our mind, our hatred is not appeased. There is no end, there is no solution to get rid of the various bad effect. So last Friday I have told you there are 3 main roots of evils in our mind. Our craving, our hatred, our illusion or ignorance. One of these evil forces become the cause for us to do any kinds of bad thing. Without craving or without anger or without illusions or ignorance, we cannot create any bad karmas or any bad deeds. So here, the Buddha tried to point out anger, how this anger can create enormous problems and troubles and disturbances and violence and bloodshed to disturb the whole world, human mind. Such a strong evil force in our mind. When we are angry, we can see the color of our face also completely change. The eyes become red. Immediately, within few seconds, changes take place. Then start to shivering. Then raise the voice. See how changes take place because of one evil force in the mind. But wise people knows how to handle this anger. We cannot stop this easily. When anger flare up, arouse, through their understanding, immediately they try to calm that mind, bring down, without allowing to say something or to do something. This is the only thing we can do at the moment. Until we attain the higher stage of sainthood, after that no more anger arise in their mind. So we cannot say we have no anger. Definitely we have. But some people know how to control it without allowing this anger to flare up through their understanding. But they have to use their full effort to do that. Lot of tolerance and understanding. When we keep this anger for a long time in our mind, it will become a grudge or ill will. And this anger ruin our own mind, our own body. Anger can kill us. Now if we pour acid into a cup, a metal, and keep for 1 month, you can see how this acid eat this vessel, make holes. In the same manner, when we keep our anger in our mind for a long period, that anger ruins our mind, our brain cells, our glands, and tender organs of our physical body, nerve system, heart. Then the changes take place in blood circulation. See how many damages can be done. And those who are suffering from high blood pressure or heart trouble, we have seen, we have heard, there are many cases because of that sudden anger when it flare up, the blood circulation, then there will be the narrow arteries block, then become either blood clot or hemorrhage, collapse, or stroke, or die because of that anger. So anger is so dangerous. Not only that we harm others, we harm ourselves. So just now I told you how a vessel can be destroyed by keeping acid for a long time. Now when we throw out this acid, then we can harm others, destroy others. Anger we can see amongst various living beings, not only human beings. Cats and dogs and snakes and tigers, lions and monkeys, they have very strong anger, especially snake. Nothing but anger. If you touch a little bit, suddenly attack. This is their nature. There are some human beings also. One or two words are more than enough to irritate, provoke, to disturb them. Then they become very violent, aggressive, and disturb others. So, there is no any other method in this world for us to tame or to train that mind without a religion. Let it be any religion. Religion is the only solution to control this end. The Buddha has used or introduced various techniques or various methods for us to understand, for us to practice, to suppress, to control, to get rid of this anger. But even then, it is a very big battle. We had to work for a long time to control it. We know it is wrong, but when anger is aroused, we have no courage to control it. Because we lose our sense of reasoning under the influence of this evil thought. It is like this, I have told you this many occasions. Assume this is a boiling water pot. When water is boiling, we can go and pee, cannot see our face there, because water is boiling. When the water stops boiling, we can see our face. That means when we are angry, we cannot see things properly. Our mind is misled by the emotion, human emotion. Then we do not use our common sense or reasoning or understanding. So whatever appears in our mind, we do it. Either to harm others, or to disturb others, to kill others, or to say something to hurt others because of that anger. Later, when that anger is no more there, we regret for saying such thing, also doing such thing. Because at that time we use our reasoning, understanding. So when we are normal, we come to know that it is wrong. But when the mind is misled, influenced by one of these evil forces, we cannot use that understanding or reason. That is why it is necessary to control it. Here in these sayings, the Buddha tried to point out what are the reasons that people bring forward to develop this anger. There are so many things. They scolded us, they abused us, they insulted us, or they have criticized us, and they have disturbed, and they have robbed or bluffed. Then we get angry. Because of that anger, we try to do something to take revenge, retaliate. Then aggravate the situation. After that, the other person also tried to do something. There is no end. So there must be an end to this one. Otherwise, throughout their life and hereafter, after their death also, they continue this battle. When there are certain evil or harmful virus or bacteria, germs or poisons in our mind, we may die due to one of those germs or due to our poisons. After our death, all these evil forces, germs, virus and poisons remains in our body, but never follow us for the next life. Poisons or evil forces or germs never follow us. But if we maintain anger, grudge and ill will and evil forces in the mind as poisons, these poisons follow us, go with us. In the next life, again start the battle. Remember this. There are many stories how they continue their enmity life after life so many times. Let us take Devadatta and the Buddha. Devadatta harbored, developed his enmity. He continued this life after life, although the Buddha did not do anything to disturb him. He was such a wicked man, he never gave up his anger or his ill will. He tried to take revenge. Even the final birth, last birth of the Buddha, 3 times he tried to kill the Buddha. That grudge is still working in his mind. Now this is the danger. Now what will happen to us if we die? When this anger is boiling in our mind, although we have done a lot of meritorious deeds or religious activities, if we die with that anger in our mind, rebirth cannot become a peaceful or fortunate one. Because rebirth takes place according to that particular evil force. If it appears at the last moment, dying moment in the mind. See how dangerous it is. The Buddha had to mention this or to give this advice because of a very stubborn monk, one of his disciples. His name was Tissa. He was related to the Buddha. Because of that, he tried to dominate or to control or bully all the other monks. And every day he wanted to fight with the other monks and scold, abuse. So all the other monks reported to the Buddha, this particular monk's behavior is like this, he disturbed all the other innocent monks. And then the Buddha gave this advice. And this situation remains, prevail in our mind as long as we lead a worldly life. To attain the highest stage of sainthood, to avoid these problems, I think you have heard, what are the evil forces or wrong concept or wrong belief or wrong practices that we had to keep away or drop. Otherwise, we cannot control our mind. We try to be good, but these evil forces influence our mind when the mind is not normal. When the mind is influenced through the temptation or irritation. When somebody come and disturb our mind, at that time no controlling power. When some others come and create some sort of temptation, then you are ready to do any kind of immoral, even certain dirty things. No power to control the mind. And this is the uncertainty of our human mind. So this situation remains until we attain our sainthood. So what is this sainthood? You have heard there are 4 stages. To attain the first stage, we had to reduce or remove or eradicate 3 defilements or bondages from our mind. The belief in eternal soul is a wrong concept from the Buddhist point of view. It is only imagination. Then a skeptical doubt. That means those who are not ready to accept the truth or facts or reality, but create their own imagination without analyzing, without understanding, and they become very stubborn, very skeptical ideas they maintain in their mind. Then maintain some sort of belief that they can find out their salvation simply by praying and worshipping and performing rites and rituals and ceremonies and various activities. But according to the Buddha, we had to get rid of all these 3. Otherwise, there is no purity in the mind. Then only we get the chance to attain the first stage of sainthood. To attain the second stage, Sapadagami, we had to reduce, cannot completely eradicate, because they are very strong, very deeply rooted in the mind. But we can reduce. We had to reduce 2 not evil, but one is evil, the other one is emotional. Craving for sensual pleasure, we had to reduce. And anger. We had to reduce anger, we had to reduce craving for sensual pleasure. Otherwise we become slaves to our own senses or pleasure. Then we get the chance to attain the second stage of sainthood. Not only here, for the attainment of sainthood, even those who like to go and enjoy their worldly life in Devaloka or heaven, this is one of the qualifications to experience heavenly bliss. 3 qualities are required. If these 3 qualities are not there, no one can go to heaven and enjoy their life. The Buddha has pointed out. Satchang bhane nakujjaya, dajja appasmimpi yachito. These are the three things. Satya. Satya means truth. Tell the truth. So by bluffing, swindling, cheating, telling lies, you cannot go to heaven. Nakujjaya. You must know how to control your anger. If you allow your anger to flare up, disturb others or disturb your own mind, you cannot go to heaven. You think simply by praying to any god you can go to heaven very easily. The Buddha says that is not enough. You can pray no harm. These are the qualities. Nakujjaya, you have to control your anger. Third one, dajja appasmimpi yachito. If you are very stingy, you cannot go to heaven. You had to give something, contribute something for the benefit of others to release their sufferings, their hunger, their problems. I think you can remember what Jesus has said. It's true. A rich man cannot go to heaven. Just like camel going through the needle, a rich man cannot go to heaven. But poor people can go very easily. Rich man means stingy people, never give. If they give, they cannot become rich. By becoming rich, they cannot go to heaven. Now that is what the Buddha says here. Give something for the benefit of others if we want to go to heaven. So, for the attainment of sainthood, here the second stage, we had to reduce our crazy attitude for too much of worldly pleasure, enjoyment. Reduce. Then reduce anger. Second stage. Third stage, by eradicating completely those two. Say 50% we have reduced when we were in the second stage. To attain the third stage, we had to wipe out completely that craving for pleasure and anger, no more. Mind is free from these two things. Third stage of sainthood. 5 completed. 5 fetters. 5 mental hindrances. 5 more. Altogether 10. For the attainment of arahanthood, final goal, perfection. So we had to eradicate 5 more. Ruparaga, aruparaga, mana, uddhacca, avidya. 5 things. Rupa raga. Rupa means form. Raga means attachment, craving. A craving that people maintain in their mind to go to Brahma world, where they can find very fine material, physical body, luminous, very bright, not knowing that is impermanent. They take this as permanent or eternal. This is one of the mental hindrances. This belief was there in India at that time. They say when attain that higher stage of Brahma, a stage that is the final goal, eternal, everlasting, remain forever. So the Buddha is the only religious teacher who pointed out that is not the final goal. It is also impermanent, changeable. Then Arupa Raga, another Brahma, a stage. Life exists without a physical body. Some people like it. Because of this physical body, we had to suffer. We had to feed. We had to wash and clean, and how many things are there for us to do to attain this physical body. But if life can exist without this physical body, how nice. So we will be free from all these physical disturbances. No sicknesses, no old age, and no pain, no sufferings. So people thought that life also exists as eternal life without changing. The Buddha says, no, that is also changeable. Because not completely purify the mind. That is why it is not eternal. So that craving also one of the mental hindrances for the purification. Mana, pride. See how strong it is in our mind. We carry this up to the higher stage of sainthood. Never drop it. We are very proud. There are so many reasons for that. In our worldly life, we use our race or nationality to discriminate others. Color, traditions and culture, religion, various things we take that our race, our color, our culture, our religion are higher than others, superior to others because of that pride. So this pride, supported by egoism, we have very strong egoism. What is egoism? Because of this mental attitude, we are not ready to surrender. Although we are wrong, that is egoism. Try to justify or try to defend after committing all sort of bad things. But that egoism doesn't allow us to admit our own mistake or weaknesses. Because of that we create enormous troubles and problems. So pride and egoism are very strong mental forces. So we had to cultivate our mind to get rid of these discriminations or superiority or inferiority complex, to regard all are equal, all are living beings, all are human beings, without any discrimination because of their race or color or culture or religion. So there must be unbiased mental attitude, not to discriminate others. That is the third qualification, mana. Uddhacca, restlessness in our mind. This restlessness, without any reason, certain things, certain mental attitude disturb the mind. Either due to certain bad thing that we have committed early part of our life, we regret. Then the disturbances take place, restlessness. We have done something wrong to somebody. Hidden thoughts suddenly flare up. Then certain things that we have committed during our previous birth remain as our mental activities in the subconscious mind. This we can understand through hypnotism. Today, many people try to influence their subconscious mind, then get some information about their previous birth, where they were, what they have done, all the good and bad things that they have done. There are many cases. In many countries they are doing this, hypnotism. And some people suddenly get some sort of psychic power to penetrate into subconscious mind, just like getting into trance. Penetrate into subconscious mind, then get all the recall, certain many things which are deposited, recorded in the subconscious mind. So some of these thoughts, not only within this lifetime, what we have done during our previous birth also can influence the mind. Then restlessness. To avoid this restlessness, the advice given by the Buddha is to take another object into the mind and concentrate. So when you concentrate on that particular object, the restlessness had no chance to influence the mind, then calm the mind. It is some sort of meditation. So if that restlessness remains in the mind, you cannot attain the sainthood or highest perfection or arhathood. Next one, worries. There are a lot of worries in our mind. In fact, we worry for nothing due to lack of understanding, due to our own imagination, undue fear, suspicion. We create worries. We worry about our future. What will happen to us when we grow old, when we are sick, when we die? If not, what about our family, our husband? Not our husband, my husband. wrong English. You cannot say our husband. My husband, my wife, my children, what will happen to them? My business, my income. So these are the problems, always create worries. But this is the nature of worldly life. It is very difficult for people to maintain some sort of contentment or understanding to get rid of these worries. The person who has reduced craving for pleasure, craving for so many things, no more worries there in that mind. Then can get rid of these worries also. Mind is free. I remember another incident. One day, King Kosala approached the Buddha and asked one question. He said, I have seen so many other religious groups in this country, but when I compare your disciples, the monks, with them, I can understand that your disciples are very serene, very cheerful, and they have very good complexion, soothing, appealing to our mind, their vision, their appearance. But I understand they do not enjoy their life. They do not eat too much. They take only one meal a day. They haven't got any property. They lead a very simple, humble life. But how can they lead such serene, peaceful, happy life? Then the answer was given by the Buddha. Atitang nanu sochanti nappajappanti nagatam paccupannena yapenti tena vanno pasidati. Atitang nanu sochanti, my disciples never worry about their past. Just now I told you, many people worry and regret by thinking what sort of bad thing that they have committed, they have done, how they disturb others, how they bluff others. But my disciples are free from these things. They have no worries about their past. Nappajappanti nagatam. My disciples never worry about their future. They never think what will happen to them when they grow old, where they are going to live, who is going to support them. They have no such ideas. Paccupannena yapenti. They satisfy whatever they receive. That contentment always they maintain in their mind. They never grumble, they never worry, they never demand. They satisfy. That satisfaction and contentment they maintain. Tena vanno pasidati. That is the secret. That is why they are always happy, so serene, very cheerful, no worries. So, it is true. We are very sad. We always worry. We go on thinking and thinking with sour face. Create our own imaginations. Thinking about future, thinking about marriage, thinking about children, thinking about husband or wife. This is the nature of worldly life. No one is free from these disturbances. But the method introduced by the Buddha, if you don't like to face these problems and worries and disturbances, you can get rid of all these problems. And then lead peaceful, happy, contented life. On the other hand, if you want to lead a worldly life, household life, then there is another method for you. Then he introduced a very moderate way of life. You can do your own business, you can earn money, you can enjoy your life, you can get married, you can produce children, you can enjoy worldly pleasures, all these things as worldly people. But you must know your basic religious principles. Without violating your basic religious principle, you can carry on your worldly life. Do your work without stealing, bluffing, swindling, cheating, smuggling. You can do your work without telling lies and scolding, accusing, blaming. You can do your work, you can enjoy your worldly life, your married life without sexual misconduct or committing adultery. And you can carry on your peaceful, happy life by keeping away from all sort of dangerous, harmful drinks and drugs. Enjoy your life. Can you do that? Cannot. Why cannot? You think to enjoy life you have to break one of these. No, there are many who knows how to do that. Can. Again he says, the Buddha, he is very understanding religious teacher, he knows your problem. He never advises you to give up everything and run away from worldly life. No. 4 kinds of happiness. You can have these 4 kinds of happiness. Work hard without wasting your valuable life for unnecessary things. Earn and collect and deposit. Invest for your future. That gives you happiness. Then not necessary to depend on others. That gives confidence. That reduces your worries. Who is going to look after us when we are old or when we are sick or when we are in trouble? That idea never appeared because you have something. Your own. Then he says, after working hard, you can accumulate, but don't forget to enjoy respectable way. You can enjoy your life very respectfully, reasonable way. Not at the cost of others' life. Without disturbing others, without bluffing others, you can enjoy. Respectable way. By spending your own money that you have earned. Then the third one, you must know your income and expenditure. You have to spend by knowing your income. Otherwise you get into trouble. Adjust your budget very carefully. Your food and clothing and enjoyment and your duties, everything you have to do by considering how much you earn. Don't go beyond that. Don't borrow from others. You have to train your way of life not to borrow from others. That gives you happiness, confidence. Last one he says, anavajya sukha. That is the most important thing, happiness. When we think of our life, how we spent, how we enjoy, if we can understand, we have not done any harm to anybody. We enjoyed our life harmless way. That is called respectable. That happiness is called anavajja sukha, without harming others, without disturbing others. We enjoy our life. That happiness gives confidence. Other three kinds of happiness just now I mentioned can give happiness as long as we live, that's all. But the last happiness, that I have not done any harm to anybody, that happiness support us to give happiness in the next life. Remember this. Idha nandati, pecca nandati. Here the Buddha is saying, here he enjoyed, hereafter he enjoyed. Who has led a respectable, peaceful, harmless life by doing some religious service. This is your way of life. So if you are not ready to renounce your worldly life, hear the advice given by the Buddha. Again he says, Arakka sampada, Utthana sampada, Kalyana mittata, Samajivikata, 4 more duties for you to fulfill. So if you follow these advices, you can lead your life peacefully. Without crying and worrying and thinking too much, you can lead your life peacefully. Arakka sampada. Just now I mentioned the Buddha has advised us to collect something and deposit or invest. You must know how to protect without wasting, without allowing others to come and bluff you, without allowing others to come and steal. You must know how to protect what you have earned. Arakka sampada. Utthana sampada. Don't be lazy. Get up. Utthana means get up. Get up and do something. There is something that you can do. Each and every person, whether educated or not, whether young or old, make no difference. There is something. Do something. Make use of your life by doing something for your own benefit as well as for the benefit of others. You can do something. Don't waste your time. Don't sleep too much. Don't be lazy. Don't eat too much. Then you cannot work. Kalyana mittata. You must know how to choose your friends, to work, to associate. Because many of your friends are not very honest, very cunning. I remember there's a very nice prayer by a Western scholar, he's a Christian. He says, his daily prayer, he prayed to God. He says, "Oh Lord, please protect me from my friends. I know how to protect myself from my enemies." It's a wonderful prayer. I cannot trust my friend, but I can trust my enemy because I know they are enemies. So, when you are going to associate with your friend, you must know who they are. Many people pretend, very selfish. When you are in trouble, they disappear. When you are rich, when you have money in your pocket, they become very good friends. That's why he says, Kalyana mittata. You must know how to find out good friends. They are very important. The last one is samajivikata. Moderate way of life. This moderate way of life, the Buddha started in his first sermon also. That is, to lead a religious way of life. He said, don't go to extreme, either to enjoy too much or to suffer too much because of your religion. Here the Buddha says, samajivikata, to lead a worldly life, you must know how to moderate. That means don't enjoy too much. Don't dance too much. Don't drink too much. Don't smoke too much. Go on, one by one, one by one. Then slowly you can get rid of the bad thing completely later. Certain things are bad, then you can get rid of them completely. So if you cannot cut down at once, then moderate. First moderate way of life. Then later you can reduce. Completely get rid of them. Samadhi, a very practical way. The Buddha has introduced all these things. These advices for you. There are some people who misunderstood the teachings of the Buddha. His way of preaching for the monks and the nuns who have renounced their worldly life, one way of life for them. For worldly people who are married, who have business, who have so many commitment and responsibilities and duties to fulfill, another way of life. So you should not try to follow monk's way of life. It is not practical at all. So you must know your limit. So very easily you can carry on that way of life. In other words, don't try to be too religious. Then you become nuisance to others. Moderate way of life here, what the Buddha says. You try to be good. At once you cannot. Step by step, slowly, slowly you can develop, you can cultivate your way of life. And bad habit, bad things also you can slowly, slowly you can get rid of them. You cannot give up at once. This is practical way. So if not, then renounce everything. Lead the monk's way of life. We can see the difference now. So I had to discuss these things, how to guard, how to control our human mind when the mind is influenced by this kind of evil forces. And worldly life encourage us to get angry very easily. But when we renounce the worldly life, and by leading a monk's way of life, naturally we reduce many things. There is nobody to come and provoke or disturb or accuse or blame us. But in your case, almost every day, there are so many disturbances in your business, in your office, at home, so many disturbances when you go and associate, mix up with the public or with others. So the anger always flare up. How many times a day you get angry? That is the problem. So by leading a worldly life, it is very difficult for you to control this anger, always irritate and provoke and disturb. So when we train our mind by knowing this situation, so every time when anger flare up, and again we know how to calm down this anger. Sambadhoyam gharavaso. Another beautiful sayings of the Buddha. This household life that means worldly life that you are leading, this life is full of troubles and problems and calamities and disturbances and commitment and worries. This is the nature of worldly life. Sambadhoyam gharava, so full of troubles and problems and disturbance. You cannot lead the worldly life without these problems. This is the nature of the world. Although we are good or bad, although we are religious or not, whether you are honest or not, you have to face so many problems and troubles and disturbances. Rajasa ayatanam. Worldly life or household life become the cause to create so many dirty, wicked, cruel, harmful, dangerous things. Yes. For your living, to support your families, to fulfill your commitment and responsibilities and duties and obligations, to enjoy your worldly life. You are willing to do any kind of dirty thing, immoral thing, wicked thing, dangerous thing. This is the nature of worldly life. How many people can escape? Bluffing, swindling, cheating others. They are very common in the worldly life. Those who do not know this technique have no place in the society. They are useless. The world is like that. That is the nature of worldly life. If you want to get rid of them, then renounce. After that, nobody to bluff you, swindle you, cheat you. Rajasa ayatana. Abhokaso pabbajja. Renunciation is just like a bird who want to fly in the space on the sky, can fly either this way or that way or this way or that way without any difficulty. And that birds, sometimes they migrate from country to country. When they migrate, they never carry any suitcase, toothbrush, toothpaste, or pills, nothing, only two wings. After that renunciation from worldly life, that life is just like that birds, free. No attachment towards anything. Doesn't know to carry anything. Can go anywhere, wherever they want to go. Nobody wants to disturb them. Everybody knows they are penniless, they are harmless, and they are useless also. Nobody wants to disturb them. Very fortunate. That is why they are so serene and very calm, very cheerful, very happy. But you have so many things. You have lot of money, property, houses, motor cars and so many things. But still you are not happy, sour face. Because of these disturbances. Now see the difference now. So if you can understand this situation, you should not take these things so seriously into your mind. Then prepare how to face them, how to overcome them. So the important thing is our mind. And the next one, second, number 4, Akkochimang avadimang ajinimang ahasime yetang na upanaihanti verang tesu upasammati. He abused me, he beat me, he defeated me, he robbed me. In those who do not harbor such thought, hatred is appeased. So one who knows how to control the mind without allowing that mind to create this thing. He disturbed me, he accused me, he blamed me, he bluffed me, he swindled me, I must give him properly. Then that anger you keep in your mind. First you harm your own mind, after that you harm others also. Those who think in this way, never mind. What he has done, what he has said, it is up to him. I am not ready to retaliate. I am not going to harm. I don't want to disturb. I don't want to hate. I don't want to curse. Then your mind is free from that anger or hatred or ill will. This is the only solution. There is no another solution for you to get rid of this problem. And this story, so number 4. Just now I mentioned this, these two sentences are uttered by the Buddha because of this stubborn monk. So, in the same monastery, spending their time with the Buddha, after listening to his Dhamma every day, those who have not yet attained sainthood maintain such evil thought, stubbornness in their mind. This is 2500 years ago, during the Buddha's time. So what about the situation today? There is no Buddha to guide us today, and nobody to advise us today, only his teaching. Simply by reading and thinking, we try to learn something, what happened at that time, what he has said. Because of this, we try to be good by following his advice. Then we know the difficulty of following his noble teaching, how to control the mind. On the next Friday, is a very interesting story also, number 5. Today, I think we can spend few minutes for questions and answer. You are very lazy to ask questions. But you have to clarify that. Two kinds of anger. Mere emotional anger, and anger we develop into hatred or ill will. Two types of anger. Emotional anger, especially parents, teachers, elders, to train others. Parents get angry with their children, they shout, they scold, they beat. It is not hatred. It is not ill will. It is emotion. They show this with the intention of training them or taming them or educating them. So the intention is good. They show their emotion. It is not under this category. But of course, child abuse, that is real anger, child abuse. So one day, a child wanted to go to jungle in searching something. The mother advised him not to go to this jungle because there are tigers there. in this jungle. The child is not ready to listen to the mother. So mother had no way to stop his going. So he wanted to go, in spite of begging and crying and appealing this boy not to go to this jungle, because mother is worried. People say there are tigers in the jungle. So when he started to go, mother has no other choice. Then she shouted, "May the tiger come and take you away," he shouted. He went into the jungle. When he was walking, he saw a real tiger there. But this boy, also very intelligent boy. Then he said, "Let not that happen what my mother said, but what my mother thought." The tiger disappeared. Understand? What is the idea of telling her? To frighten this boy not to go to the jungle. Let not that happen what my mother said, but what my mother thought. Here, just to mention the anger that parents show to their children to protect them. There is no questions, sharing of merits. That's all. Okay. Imina punya kammena upajjaya gunuttara Acari upakaraca mata pita piya mamang Suryo Candi Maharaja Gunavanta Narapica Brahma Maharaja Indaca Lokapalaca Devata Yamo Mitta Manusaca Majjata Verika Pica Sabbe Satta Sukhi Hontu Punyani Pakatani Me Sukhanca Tividang Dentu Kippang Papeta Vomatang Imina Punya Kammena Imina Uddisena Ca Kippahang Sulabhe Ceva Tanho Padana Cedanang Ye Santane Hina Dhamma Yava Nibbanato Mamang Nassantu Sabbada Eva Yattha Jato Bhave Bhave Ujjo Citto Satipanyo Sallekho Viriyavapina Mara Labhantu No Katham Katunca Viriyesu Me Buddhat Ronato Dhammo Nato Aruttamo Nato Pacceka Sambuddho Sangho Nato Taro Mamang Tisottamanubhavena Maroka Sanglabantu
Atma